Ready. Okay, so we're all ready for this session of Transformative Learning Journeys, where we're going to be learning and sharing about some of the innovation projects of the community of the Learning Expedition 2024. We're really excited because it feels like a family. We have been together for a long time now. We got to know each other very well, our context, our experiences, and we have been reading through the final projects that they developed. We'll tell you more about them in a minute. And it's just so inspiring. It's just amazing. It's just amazing what people can do when we're part of a community where we support each other, where we share values, and where each of us is in our own path. Um, and there's a lot of diversity, but still with that common vision. So thank you for making it today. We're going to be also having lots of opportunities for sharing with each other. As soon as I stop sharing my screen, in case you want to localize who are the people that are facilitating the session, we are Luz and David, the creators of Evolving Education.
Thank you, David. So we are here to celebrate change. Maybe, David, if you can mute yourself. Fantastic. I don't hear myself double. So yeah, we are here to celebrate change and all the different projects that people have been doing. And I think this is really important because life is going so fast that we don't even have time to stop and reflect on the things that we are learning. And yeah, we are here to celebrate those small steps that are transforming little by little education, because the ultimate goal is an utopia. Transforming education means transforming the way we live and creating a more sustainable world. And this goal is a really big one. Is yeah, it's not something that is going to happen from one day to the other. So that's why it's very important to celebrate the process and to acknowledge that that is happening, and each little step that we are taking along the way.
Mm. And we really mean each step because it feels as if each step needs to be successful. And I think we need to recognize the things that work and the things that don't work, because many times we learn more even from the things that don't happen as we expected. And this concept, this idea of experimentation or having an experimentation mindset is something that we're really consistent about. You might have heard talking about it too many times already, but we think it's really important, particularly in education, because of several things. One of them is that we have, most of us have never experienced a different way of doing things in education, that conventional schooling, and therefore it's hard to get out of that comfort zone. And on the other hand, because we want the best for children, and that can kind of prevent us from doing anything different because we don't want to do anything that might not happen as we expected. So it becomes easier when we think about it as an experiment, as something that is designed to learn from it and decide the next step, and rather than as a final solution, as something that needs to happen and work 100%. Yeah.
So yeah, and I think right now the world that we are living in, or the emergent situation, is the climate change, the mental health challenges, and the emergence, for example, of artificial intelligence are changing everything, are changing the traditional way of living. So the traditional educational systems is preparing everyone to achieve the same standards. However, we are all different. So it does not actually support people to develop their strengths. And many times we focus on what people is missing, on what they don't have, and just judging those weaknesses. So I don't think that we can continue doing the same thing, and because we are not supporting young people to live a fulfilling life. So yeah, I think that change now is not an option, but a need. And I think in a world where automation is in the world of automation, it's super important to support young people to find their purpose and to discover what they are passionate about. No, imagine a world in where people are actually passionate about the things they are doing. Also, in this era of over information, it's essential for young people to develop critical thinking and decide the role that they want to play in the world. And in a world where mental health problems are reaching numbers that are really scary, it's very important to learn to live in community and to relate to each other in a healthy way.
Yeah, and as a friend of mine says, it's like moving from an ego system to an ecosystem. learning to live in community. And we believe that building robust communities is one of the most meaningful things that we can do right now, because only together we can really make the world a better place. And that's why we're so committed to these building communities, international communities, local communities of people that are transforming education. This is an open session of the alumni network where we're gonna well, there's gonna be different people sharing their own experiences and projects in education, and all these people have been joining us in one of our programs in the Learning Expedition, which we'll share a bit more about to give a bit of context. So if you can share a screen, Luz, just to show the stories that we're gonna learn today about. Today we're gonna learn from Amor, Sara, Electra, Isabel, Atanu, Chrissy, Elif, and Salil maybe. I don't know if he joined us already, about different stories of transformation in education, each of them in a different context. So we'll be making rooms later on, and dividing on those 3 columns, and you'll be able to choose where you want to go to have an open dialogue about these topics. Also, by the end of the session, we'll be sharing with you a digital magazine with 26 innovation projects. That it's kind of the results of over here. We're going to be presenting those 7 or 8, but over there there's a lot more. There's a lot more of detail. So there you'll be able to explore more. Also includes the projects from the Spanish edition. We do everything in English and Spanish, and so it's interesting to see what's happening over there as well. And for each of these projects, we asked them to describe an educational practice that they found relevant for their context, how they contextualize it, how they brought it to the real world, and a reflection about what happened in that process. We asked for 1 to 2 pages. I must say that that's been really hard to stay with. We have had some projects that reach 15 pages. So for the next edition, we're putting a word count limit or something in here. Because considering that we are translating this in Spanish and English and doing the design of the magazine, it's been a ton of work, but amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that.
I need to unmute myself to talk. So let's start breaking a little bit the ice and getting to know each other and getting to see all the people that is in the community. So I would like to invite you to think and share something that I think is really deep, but maybe something that we don't talk about enough. So I would like to start asking a question: is what is your dream? Like, I don't know if you remember when was the last time that you talk about your dream or that someone asked you about what is your dream. So I think we were thinking to create this space to really stop a little bit and reflect about our dreams. What are we passionate about? And what are we going towards? So I'm gonna invite you to different rooms, and with 3 different people, you're gonna have around 5 minutes to share. Yeah, what is your dream? Maybe I can put the the question in the chat. It's not really complex, but just in case I cannot be here properly. Yeah. So David is creating those rooms, and there's gonna be a message that is gonna appear in your screen. So if you click in OK, you'll go in that room, and then have the opportunity to share your dream and hear someone else. Whenever you are ready. I think someone doesn't want to go, but you can also stay here. Let's see, Puya is alone. And move to room 4. Um, Fantastic. So everybody's coming back. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. And I hope it was fun to reflect and think about our dreams. I think that we have to talk a lot about our dreams to actually make them come true. And the more we talk about them, we get a little bit closer to them. So let me start a little bit just to share who we are, just in case someone doesn't know us. Um, but yeah, I think that both David and I have done have had many dreams. And then I remember that when I was a small, I dreamed about traveling around the world, learning about different cultures and being an actress. But all those dreams didn't really fit with the ideal of success that was established in society. So I kind of reframed my dreams to something that fit a little bit better in that paradigm. So get a job, to have a house, have children, and so on. But then when I got a job and I was going in that right path, I realized that I really wasn't happy. I think that I studied biotechnology and was working in biotechs and so on, and it was supposed like I supposedly achieved what it was what I should achieve, but I wasn't really happy. And then it was when I realized that maybe the dreams that I have fulfilled were not mine, but the ones that society have set up for me. And then is when I started changing a little bit the question and ask myself, well, what am I really passionate about? What is something that really makes me energized and I love to do? And that was education. I think that education has a super powerful impact, and you can like education can really change the world. So then I decided to be a teacher. And then I did my master to become a teacher and so on. But then at some point it was like, wait 1 second. I don't think that the methodologies that they are teaching me, it's first, it doesn't seem that they have evolved a lot since I went to school. And then I don't think I'm actually supporting kids to live a fulfilling life. It seems to me that I was preparing kids to be more or less the same in the same path that I was, but not really connected to their passions. So then it was like, okay, there should be something else. I need to figure out a way, because actually when I was working in the industry, there we have so many trainings of how to work in teams, how to trust on yourself. And I was like, how can it be that we didn't learn that at school? Like that can be something that we could be working on since we or start developing since we are small. So I thought, okay, there should be many different ways of um, teaching and learning. However, I do not know how to do it in a different way. So then I did my thesis into innovative methodologies in education and found out that there were actually many schools that were doing things in a completely different way. And they were supporting children's autonomy, creativity. So it was, okay, I want to do that. And then it was like the second shock of trying to do that in the class, and I didn't really know how. I didn't know how to translate that beautiful theory I was reading into the practice. Like I tried really hard, and like what my brain was able to do, it was putting pretty much what it was in the book in a PowerPoint presentation with a lot of images and stuff. I was okay, this is not it either. So then is when I proposed a bit to, okay, I really want to do a research, going to these different innovative educational centers and interviewing the facilitators, the students, the parents, and get to know how they are actually doing things in the field. And that's how Evolving Education started around 5 years ago. And since then, we have more than 200 interviews from people from 16 or 17 different nationalities. And yeah, we have been working on that a lot. Maybe David can present himself a little bit more too.
Yeah, thank you, Luz. Yeah, I would say that my biggest connection with education is actually that I love learning. That I'm always intrigued for learning about the next thing and the next thing. That's why the same that Luz, I initially studied sciences, because I wanted to be in that frontier in between what's known and what is not known, to always keep learning. But that took me into different ways, actually. And the more I learn about different things, the more I realize that we already have tools and solutions for many of the things that we want to that we want to solve, but we don't necessarily know how to implement them. And or what is even more common is that we don't have the support that we need to be able to actually do it. That's why I believe so much in the power of these intentional communities. And this has taken me to do lots of different things, from building research teams in biomedicine to managing collaborations to develop new technologies, creating incubation programs for social entrepreneurs, and facilitating personal development workshops. And still, the most transformative experience that I have lived has been going in this journey with Luz to find out how education could be differently. Because it has really made me question my whole life, my whole aspirations, habits, the way I relate with other people. And above all, it gave me a lot of hope. Because the adults and the children in these spaces show me that education centers can be seeds from where to build more fair and sustainable societies. It can be spaces where to experiment with other ways of relating with each other that are more equitable and that are more sustainable. And the amazing thing is that this is already happening. It's happening all around the world. And yet we know that a large majority of children and youth still don't have access to it. So that's why we believe that it's so important to democratize the access to this global wisdom, and to support the people that are enabling and making possible that transformation, like all of you. If you can share a screen, Luke, just to show a bit of images that represent a little bit what I was talking about. And one of the ways in which we are trying to make this possible is through the Learning Expedition, which is the program that has brought all these people together here today. And it's been the channel that has been an amazing way for us to share all those insights in a very experiential manner and going through these different stations of personal growth, learning about intrinsic motivation, autonomy, and responsibility. And what we try to do is to support people to transcend from teacher to facilitator of meaningful learning by empowering young people to take responsibility for their learning. Learning how to create pioneering learning spaces, developing experiments, and using different models like design thinking, and to join a global community of value-driven people that are actually transforming education, and we're all supporting each other along this process. So we have just completed the third edition of the Learning Expedition. It feels like a very intense process, and it's something that it leaves us, I think, exhausted in both parts. And this thing that Luke is sharing right now is the methodology that we use, which is, I think, something quite core in the way that we work. That is the how we do the things that we do. And this is the methodology expedition, because we know that it's not just about knowing the tools or the methodologies, that those you can find them anywhere, but really developing the mindset to be able to implement them. And the way that we do that is exploring those tools, but from a diversity of peoples and perspectives, so that you hear from lots of voices, experience them in first person in the way that we facilitate the calls so that we leverage many of those resources, and also developing experience in your own environment, and finally having a space to express yourself, share challenges, ideas, do collective brainstorms, things that work, didn't work. Essentially learning in community. So as I mentioned, we're finishing the third edition. We don't know when the fourth will be, but if you're interested in knowing more, we'll share in the chat about the website for the next edition, in case you want to join the waiting list and knowing where it comes out.
Fantastic. So now it's time. Well, so we have designed. We have designed. Well, it's not. We haven't designed it, but we are going to use it's called a liberating structure called a celebrity interview. And then you're going to have the opportunity now to hear a short presentation of all the different projects that people have done. And then we are going to have time to be in rooms and ask more questions and going more deeply in all the details that you want to know from it. So yeah, we are going to use, yeah, as David said, are the experiments that the participants of the learning expedition have carried out. And then we are going to do this dynamic. Maybe that you can share the screen so people know a little bit what is going to be the process. But yeah, it's going to be a project teaser of 5 minutes. So all celebrities are going to have an opportunity to tell about themselves and about their projects. Then you as an audience are going to be able to select the projects that you are interested in. So we are going to have around 20 minutes. If we, depending on how time goes, 15 to 20 minutes to go to those rooms and ask questions. And then we are going to come back all together and share the conclusions or some enlightening ideas that we have had along the process. So we are going to have a little bit of time also to share that. And yeah, so we have several projects. There they are. And maybe we can straight away start.
I'm thinking, Luz, that maybe considering that Salil and Atano are the ones that are in the latest time for them is the end of the day already. Maybe we can start by the end of this list and move up.
Okay, fantastic. So then our first celebrity today is Salil. So Salil, whenever you're ready,
I'm ready. I'm ready. No problem. Can I share my screen? Well,
sure.
I'm just sharing my screen. I can take a couple of just 2 minutes. I'll brief it. What it is. So is my screen visible there?
Yes.
So this is a very, very simple exercise. There is no particular philosophy. There is no particular knowledge base behind this. It's very raw. In one way, it is very raw. But there are certain inspirations, like card games were very popular in education, particularly for imagining new things. So if you see the mainstream education literature in academic literature researchers, one of the major things that we lack is imagination. Normally, there is a saying that education systems are missed by two things. One is education, second is system. So these two things are missing in an education system. And why it is missing is that we don't have imagination. So this is a tool which I tried with papers in small tier of papers. We can do napkin papers. We have tried in some of the small groups in a college, and a couple of students also, teacher training students also. So there it worked out. So I just moved it further in the card game. That's it. So these are the steps which I have followed. You can see we have gathered similar tools like flow of the city, IFTF resources, future platform resources. This is how it has refined. Still, it is not complete. I didn't do the designing part. So I'm just showing you the bone part only. The flesh is still missing. So it's very simple. There are 92 action verbs, which I will show you the list. 92 action verbs are there. And there are around 41 value tools. I'll show that screen also. That will be easier. So I hope you can see the objectives which I have written. This is an interactive tool designed to facilitate engaging discussions and spark imagination around possible models of education, not only higher education, even school education also, probably a digital format. And the usefulness is that you explore innovative higher education models that challenge the current status quo. And you can visualize a learning experience that is more equitable and inclusive. And you engage in a reimagining process. That's the purpose behind it. And these are some of the lists that we have. Hope you are seeing a PDF document, not the PowerPoint.
We are seeing the PowerPoint. Maybe you have to stop the sharing and sharing again the other screen.
Okay. I'll reshare it. Sorry.
No worries.
Now you're seeing a PowerPoint. You're seeing a PDF. Yes. So we have a place list, a list of places. I have written what is the objective of this tools and what is the usefulness of this tool. We have a place list. We have a thing of the future, which I am not explaining today. And we have a draft scenario. We have a prompt. It's as simple as that. And I'm showing you the action verbs which are going to be used in school formats. These are the action verbs. There are around 92 action verbs are available there. These are very carefully selected. It will be matching with the scenario that we are going to develop. And there are value cards. for diversity is a value, equity is a value, innovation is a value. While I was testing this first time with the students, particularly adult students, they had a tendency to define these terms in their own way. That is good in a big way. But the problem is that then the overall understanding will be limited. To avoid those confusions, a limited explanation, we cannot call it a definition, a limited explanation was also given. So you can see the value cards. There are 25 value cards and there is a sample value card. This is one of the sample value card. This is, yeah, independence, excellence, like that. Lifelong learning sample value card I have created. So each card is that. While actually in reality, while I did it, I was just using one paper, not in a design format. Then we have, this is another sample card. Then there is places and spaces. You can imagine any number of places. For example, classroom or library, laboratory, outdoor spaces, homes, kitchens, cultural centers, mindfulness and meditation centers, AI learning ports, augmented reality, botanical gardens, interactive street food bazaar. It goes like that. And even top of the tree. So there are total 42 learning spaces or places, which is somewhere, some point of time in history, some teachers have educated their students. All those 42 I have included. This is one sample card, like community centers, how a community center will look like. This is a sample card. Then we have a draft scenario. I'm just again shifting to the PowerPoint, which is much more easier. See, this is a sample card for space of learning. This is a sample card for method of learning. Flipped classroom is a method of learning. This is value card. For lifelong learning is one value card example. This is another example for place or space for learning. There are 42 sample cards for this. I have categorized into three. One is formal, second is informal or semi-formal, because that categorization is not actually correct. It is so high time for us to remove that categorization from our mind. That is why I put all the 42 together. And now this is where we stand. We have 92 action words, 25 value cards, 12 method cards, and 42 place cards. And we can look at the permutations and combinations possible. So at least there will be this much number of ways to think and organize how do we learn and teach. And all of them may not be relevant. So we can take few more relevant. And this is the draft scenario. If you can see the draft scenario, by X years, any year for that matter, we will be increasingly using dash method card as a major approach in higher education by dash action verb. And learning will be organized around dash place card. We'll be using a place card. And by doing so, we will have created a more equitable learning society, which will be increasingly moved to dash, the value card. So since this much number of iterations are possible, just few iterations may look like this. This is the first iteration only. We can draft it further. This is, I have shown two: micro-learning, co-working spaces, collaboration, flexibility. This is another iteration. There are hundreds of iterations possible. And I found that in some of the exercises, some of the students have come up with very, very innovative things while they have given the freedom to combine cards. So something we never thought of. Very, very, very innovative ideas may come up. So the purpose is to not to arrive at an urgent solution or an immediate solution. This is another one. It goes like that. We have hundreds of cards will come in this way. It goes like that. I'm not elaborating further. I'm just stopping the presentation. I'm telling that the purpose is not to identify a very urgent and very immediate learning space or place, or not to find out an immediate solution. But the purpose is to provoke your thinking, break your current imagination, and think whichever imaginations and permutations and combinations are possible. That's the only purpose. To that extent, the experiment was successful, I say. But I need to design it better in the card to be more attractive, because I was using very ordinary cards which are teared down, which will be looking very awkward for some of the students. I was writing with a sketch pen. So I want to make it digitally feasible, properly professionally arranged cards, designed well for card decks and in a package format, and you play with it so that your imagination boundaries can be broken down. So that's it.
Thank you, Salil.
I think
Thank you
I
for
spent
sharing
some
it
time,
with
I
us.
guess.
Yeah, when we received Salil's PDF, and this was one of the 50 pages one, because he was describing a full card game to reimagine education with tons of permutations and ideas. And it sounds amazing. It's like we need to play this. Yes, precisely not because of the final output, but because of the process of questioning how we learn and where we learn and with who we learn. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Next, Electra mentioned that she maybe has to continue her journey. So maybe if she can come next, and then Atanu. So Electra, the floor is yours.
Thank you. If it's okay for Atanu, because yeah, as I told you, I have 4 hours more to drive. I don't have a presentation. I don't have notes. I come as I am because that's the way we do it in my land/community/life. We are learning and leisure hub is just a place where we live together. I don't believe that education or learning or anything finishes at 18 or even 25 or after PhD. We learn all the time and from everyone. I'm 40 and I learn every day from my 50 years old daughter. I live in the mountain in Scarpas and Greece, and we have people from all over the world who come and travel, stay with us for 2 weeks or 2 months or more. I'm looking at Sarah. And the idea is that everybody is free to do whatever they want. But for certain people, it's difficult because we're not used to be free to do whatever we want. Some people need to have someone taking their hand and saying, okay, now for the next hour you will do that, because that's how we've been living for the most of our life. The way we found, because I can't take people from the hand. I can't take volunteers from the hand. I tell them, no, we're doing that and that and that. It's very difficult for me because it's very difficult for me to let go first, because I want to do everything. If I could, I would do everything on this land, but I can't. So I really have to work on myself to let other people do things. So if I have to take them by the hand and show them what they have to do, it doesn't work. So what we have, it's a form of Kanban. The board that you know with offers, requests, and what we're doing. The request board has everything that we can imagine, or that anyone else wants to do. And we have there a few parts that say what needs to be done this month, what needs to be done this week, and what needs to be done today. In the morning, when we have teams, in the morning we gather, we see this board, and so the people who need someone to take by the hand can see what the others want to do and say, okay, can I join you doing this? And teams are getting created like that. And it helps also everyone, because we start by saying what we did the day before. Because when you let people doing whatever they want, we have people who will work for 12 hours straight, and others that won't. And the people who work a lot will get angry about the others, while nobody asked them to do that. And I think that the fact that we discussed in the morning what we did for the day before shows to the persons who build a house, for example, that the others might not have been building something, but they were playing with the kids for 5 hours, or they were cleaning, or they were cooking, or everything helps. And yeah, I think that's our main tool to to allow people to learn from each other, to gather, to get to know each other better, what are the skills, what they can offer, and be able to go to this board and see that, oh, that person can teach me how to play guitar, for example. Yeah. That's us. So we're expecting you all to please gather.
Fantastic, Electra. No, yeah, I have been using the tools of the agile methodology to actually organize my work and my life. I find that setting the day really useful when I was working in this agile learning center, setting the day and then like so many, maybe, yeah, one kid is interested in one thing and the other might not, but then their curiosity gets triggered and then they go and then they collaborate and they start doing things together. And I don't know, magically things start happening and it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And also like particularly the Kanban is like I love it. It like, allows me to not to have everything in my mind, but then being able to organize and decide what I want to do. And maybe I think that part of maybe I'm not ready right now to do this thing, but it's there, so I don't have to be thinking about it, and then whenever I'm ready I'll take it. So I think are really useful tools for that self-direction. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah. Okay, so the next celebrity is Atanu. Dun, dun, dun.
Actually, please, you can you hear me? You can share my video.
We can hear you really low.
Hello.
Maybe if you can,
can you please share my video? Already I given to you. It will be best coming because some internet connection will not.
If you want to share it, Atanu, well, look at this.
After finishing this video, I can put it. It's a small video actually. We experimented last 2 years, 2 months back. It's really, I actually while I was going through that learning expedition with course material, there I really I felt in stuck that post-security education, and I wanted to experiment on it. how it would actually work or not. Some four people came from different parts, one from south and east and west in India. And even they are really felt like some doubt. It won't work. Then we asked all the children to come together along with their parents, basically mothers, and we all decided together what we should do. And everybody, every day morning, they used to usually come and they only decide what they want to do. And what was amazing thing is that there were almost some 40 kids were there in that age group from 6 to 14. And it was
No, one
so
second.
amazing that
We almost cannot hear you. It's like super low. Like yeah, really, really low.
the internet issues, I think, with the internet connection. So yeah, we actually decided together all the kids actually what want to do, who want to do what, and with whom he or she wants to learn. Oh, sorry, actually, I'm not here. Sorry,
Yeah, we can hear you really little, but I could hear a little bit that you asked the community what they wanted to do, and then organize the parents and the children, and you gave them the opportunity to decide what they wanted to do during their day, and then allow that space. Okay.
It actually allowed that space, and it was amazing. Everyone was doing their own work, and no one was disturbing others. So it was truly amazing.
Okay, so he said that then they were doing all of the kids were doing their own work, and then they weren't actually disturbing each other or anything, but they were concentrated on the things that they were doing.
Yeah, and that gives them the space and enjoy the lot. Even they don't want to go back their home after each and every day. They don't want to go their home. They're going their home after half an hour. They're coming to my home, that long space, and almost from daylight beginning to the end, some 10 to 12 hours, they are actually be with us always, almost.
Okay.
15, 25 days. So it was so amazing, actually, I felt. In school, basically,
So then it has been. I'll amplify your voice. So they have been 22, 25 days in which the kids have been doing whichever thing they wanted to do, and they pretty much didn't want to go to their houses back because they were having too much fun. We could see that in the pictures. I don't know if I skipped something else, but more or less, I think that was the core.
What can I do? It's
Okay. Thank you, Tanu. But we can read more about his project also in the magazine, and yeah, pretty much giving the children the possibility to decide what they want to do and organize their time. Yeah. Atanu, they are asking you over the chat, where are you in India? Is there a link to learn about your project? If you could share that over there. That's also something that we can do whenever you see someone that you're like, wow, this is amazing. You're going to have time for questions, but still you can exchange your emails and so on. And that way you have the opportunity to be connected to more people around the world that are doing similar things. Okay, so who is next? Maybe Amor, do you want to go?
And if you want, we can share like the next three, just following the order on the list. So Amor, Chrissy, and Sarah could be the next three.
Okay, so I'll start. Yeah, I chose the curiosity-driven interviews because out of all the tools that I experimented with, it was the kind of the closest to kind of coaching that I do is just asking questions, so I cannot took on the coaching training. But also it's kind of difficult for me because of the situation in which I operate. I chose it because I thought it was like a very representative of what happens not just to me as a family and to my family, but what happens in society at large. Like we have been brought up in conflict. I have been brought up in a family where at Christmas we would meet with the extended family, and so the grandmother, the matriarch of the family, which was very authoritarian, kind of violent. And we would meet at Christmas, and I would have fun with all my cousins that I would see them on holidays or something in the village. And all the cousins and we used to laugh our uncles and aunties because they were shouting, and they would be like, talking about politics and religion, and they didn't really get on. They would meet as a family, but they didn't really get on. So we always said we wouldn't do that when we grew up. Guess what? Most of them, they don't talk to each other. So it was very striking because I know I did it with my my husband ex, which at the time we were living together in the same house, but we were like co-parenting. We were like not a couple as such. My daughter knew about it by that stage. So it's kind of like you reproduce the conflict and the relationships of your parents, but it's trying to then do something different. That's why I like to study things like coaching and things like that, because it's always I'm trying to improve my own life first. But it's difficult because you have all this programming. So I just I wrote down a series of questions and I tried to stick to them, but then also I would go with the flow. Like I started with my daughter because I thought it would be easier. And I said, so what's the problem? And she's like, there's no problem. Guys are doing quite well and there's no problem. So she's been in school and she's never been to school. She went like a month to a creche. She has never been to school. All this has been done because I'm the one at home that did the research and like kind of put my foot on the ground. This is what it has to be done. And I kind of have been accused as well that, I don't dialogue, and it's just like, I do what I want, because this is the thing, like when you feel it in your bones that this is the way to go, but then the other person, your partner, doesn't agree with it. He doesn't think that school is that bad. And I think it's very symptomatic because we are not all in relationship in which we get along. We have different opinions. So it was very striking for me because I knew both people that I interview. I tried to ask them the same questions, but with them, it went in different ways. I found my daughter very insightful answers, which I always do. I do find her very insightful, that she does have a good grasp of the situation, of the problems, of what she wants. And for her, there is no problem. She knows what she wants and she likes her life. Obviously, it could be better, but she has quite a lot of freedom. Of course, we also have I have never been self-directed, really. I went to school and I was with an authoritarian mother, and so it's kind of always the dilemma you're always dancing with your programming, and trying to, she's reflecting back at you, like when I give her a choice, but then I want her to answer a particular thing, she says to me, why do you give me a choice then? So we have more of a dialogue than I ever had with my mother, for example. But so for her, there wasn't any problems. Now, and I loved her answers, and that's why I put in the magazine, and what I wrote, I put a lot of her answers because it was like, she has never done a course on self-directed education like me, like any of these programs or courses, but she understands the issues, really, I'm trying to find what is it that she actually said, So, what is that? I asked her, what would be a special school, like, a kind of more self-directed school, what it would be like. And she's like, you can do what you want is the main factor, and she would give me like brilliant stuff for marketing, it's like reasons for joining the school. And, if they don't have to, they would be much happier. So she's miles ahead of any parent out there that's sending the kids to school, because she already knows the kids are unhappy going to school and their lives would be better if they didn't. You know, and that's from her experience of just going through life without having to be forced to go to school. The context as well is like so the main problem for everybody is that she doesn't read and write, and she's nearly 12. And we're accustomed to that children learn to read and write much earlier. So it's like giving them the difficulty in the family is to give them the space to learn at their own pace when they want to. Most people, you know, like she had her grandmother teaching her the alphabet at 6, because there's this fear, you know, even my mother, that she's going to be illiterate. And the main problem is that in Ireland, she has to be registered with TUSLA, which is the official organism that protection of children. But under the schemes that they're protecting children, we get this every, you know, we only got 2 assessments that they come and talk to us, to our home. But, you know, so the main concern is now they're forcing me to put her in a program to read and write and maths, because they have a problem. They think not reading and writing at her age is a problem. My husband thinks it's a problem. And of course, for me, sometimes it is a problem because, you know, you have to deal with all this situation. But it makes a difference when you do programs and when you do research or whatever. And if you don't, you're left with your fears, and that drives you. And for me, it was very striking to try to remain in neutrality with him, because he was giving me information that he had never taught me before. Like, you know, I learned that he had been asking his siblings for schools where he could put her in without telling me, or for a tutor, because he sees that that is a problem, and he has the fear that she's gonna be like him. He never went to college. He never, you know, well, I did. And I kind of have a much broader, I think, vision of the system, because I went to college. I did a master's. So all my life I had been kind of a bit in the system. So I don't have any illusions under which, like, you know, if you go to college, you're going to get a better job, because I didn't. And things like that, you know, I'm thinking, so it was very interesting to realize that when I heard something that I didn't like, I was reactive and tried to remain neutral. And I was more or less able to, he asked me, you know, for my opinion at one point, and because it was so confronting what he was telling me that I was like, I did want to, you know, but answer, but I kind of stick with the questions, and I tried to follow his thinking and try to get all the information to see how he thought. So then it didn't end up in conflict. It ended up being like, I didn't like what I heard, and I wrote it all down, and I left it sit there for a couple of months, and then I went back into it. And I found it interesting, because I got more information that I would have never got before. And I think it's good to have these interactions. Like, once you have one, then you can say, okay, this went well, then we can build it up and have another one, and then have another one. And it kind of, then you start building a bit more the trust. And yeah, my daughter liked it, for example, as well. So anyway, you can read more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amor. But yeah, like doing those interviews and asking those questions, I know how hard it is, because then you have to be completely fully listening to that person and trying to understand what is going on, and to be in their feet, no, and to actually feel what they are feeling. And then that part of breathing and just not reacting and just truly be listening, it is hard, and it's something that I think that, at least for me, it's something that I have to keep working on, because we want to give solutions and we want to give answers, and then it's like, wait, the purpose of this is just to try to understand the other person, and that way those relationships keep building, and then keep going in one particular direction or the other, but at least the conflict doesn't fully stop us, and yeah, don't we cannot do anything about it, no. Anyways, thank you very much for sharing that experience. That's super cool. And the next celebrity is Crazy. Are you ready?
Yes, hello everybody. Hello. Luz, I don't know if it is possible. I can make an introduction of 1 minute of my context, and then we can share a video. This is for
Sure.
3.5 minutes that I have already sent you. And then I will conclude with another minute. So I'm counting if it is possible. Can I start? Great.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me properly? Yeah? Okay. So so this is Chrissy, and I come from Crisis, Greece. Sometimes, yes. So my project is about reinventing the council, but this is the end of an articulate project that took place the last 2 years in Central Athens, Greece. So I'm working actually in a public school, and the school has 150 children, all mixed origins and religions. My role started as a morning and day care school teacher, but evolved as a facilitator, designer, and a non-formal project. Let's say yes. So these projects come out from the life needs of the children, and I turn out to be an action researcher parallel to these roles because I document the pedagogic process, and after I write several reports for my colleagues and for communities, and so this project today, what you're going to see, it started as a journalist team. This project on the daycare, on the afternoon program of the school, and ended up again a win again from various life skills for the children. So just a short to say the background of the families, and then we can see the video. The socioeconomic background of families is very challenging. They're below poverty line. I say again that we're in the center of Athens. They face a serious psychosocial issues, and the high school of the neighborhood has a lot of reports of drug abuse, adolescent criminality, violence, and mental health issues. So 1/3 of children are Greek, 1/3 is Albanian, and 1/3 is from different origins. So at the moment, we have 21 nationalities at our school, and this video that you're watching, it is these are the students that took part on the last year journalist team. So I don't know if there is could be also a sound on that. Thank you for these comments. My last word is that this was the final presentation for last year. So this is started to be a project to unite the school, to unite the students and to reinforce the students from different age groups. So we make a collaboration activity for the youngest school that are from the kindergartner. So we introduce them to the school life as a community. And this year, it has been articulated project, very complicated and very complex, and a lot that the presentation is not still yet ready. But the end of it was that the school council that was reinvented. This is the title of my article. It's very small, and this is about how the students are getting a voice and understanding to start to feel emancipated to decide for themselves. So when you're in a suppressive environment that you do not have a voice and you're muted because you're victimized by violence or by how let's say blind because of you're stuck from depression in the screens. There's nothing you can do to engage with life. So this was my experiment. I tried to engage them with life, and it seems that the results are very touching also for myself and for actually I wanted to create oxygen for myself to survive 2 more years in Greece, and this is the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Gracie. No, I mean, it's amazing. Like giving the children a voice in the schools and creating those school councils is just, yeah. And we have also Derry here. I'm sorry, Derry, I have to tell. Which he has a lot of experience in actually creating that assemblies in the schools. So yeah, I think that it's like normally children's voice is not heard, and giving them the opportunity to do that is something super powerful that after like maybe not now, but years later it's gonna have an effect and an impact in their lives. So yeah. Okay, so then our next celebrity is Sarah.
Hi. So, um, when we started to create something that we can give to you, we were idea-less, had no idea. And then we are living in a project right now with many people coming and going. And we are the only family that is not giving our kids to school. I think in the whole area of, I don't know, 500 kilometers around us, because we're living in Germany, and here it's like completely forbidden to do something different than the system is telling you. And so when this is a huge topic of us to do something that we think is good, but it's forbidden. Like it's not only unknown, it's not only not well developed, it's forbidden. And so then there was next to us there was a festival, and they offered us a space to give a workshop, and we used that space to talk about deschooling. And when we created a 7-day course about deschooling, we discovered that it's mostly about trauma. Like the main reason why nobody is stepping up or speaking against system that is like clearly not working, it's about trauma. It's because they're traumatized, and mostly they're traumatized from school. It's so crazy because we have school in our head in so many different ways that if you would think 1, 2, 3 times, even after the fifth time, you will not have enough reason found or enough things found. So what we did it with them, and we gave them spaces to first have a vision of what they want, right? To say, okay, if you would be free, how would you like to have education take place? And we created something like vision board. And already this was so nice because they didn't know the tools. They didn't know mostly they didn't know about already existing hubs or something like that. But they exactly described those things. They described community. They described working together. They describe freedom, all those things that are already existing tools they wished for. And because I am working a lot with meditation and art therapy and also hypnosis, we did some stuff around that, like visiting our inner child. Imagine, okay, what would our inner child do if it would be free? We painted and did some stuff. And after we went through this drama, which is not possible, right, in 2 or 3 days, but after we gave them an idea of what is inside us, we went through to the possibility of dreaming. And before we described them tools, we wanted to act, let them have an act thing out. Like they should always switch between the one who's learning and the one who's teaching. Like then they had this role play. And after they did that for a day, then we gave them the tools. And now, Salil, I need your cards because we we just wrote cards, like paper cards with tools, and gave them to the small groups so they would act out these tools. But your version is amazing. It would be so good. Okay, so after all this, they had a process, and then again we made a vision board with them, and we made something like we use that in a coaching scene. It's a contract you do with yourself. It's like what of all those things that we learned here could you could implement in your daily life. And again, here in Germany, it's hard to implement those things. So they have to become really creative. And it is so wonderful because it's happening. Even here, it's happening. And it was so nice that we thought, okay, we want to do that even more. And now we're thinking about doing it as an online course, but not for a week. I would like to have it for at least 3 months so that people have more time to have those processes, and also that there's more time that we can really work with this trauma. Because I think if this trauma is freed, and if this energy that is like suppressed in this trauma, then all those nice things, they just come from itself, right? They would just blossom if they're not suppressing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Sarah. So many insights actually from doing that workshop, right? And working with people through that process. That insights about trauma. It's a very powerful one to understand what happened in our childhood that put us in a certain direction, and how we will want things to be differently. Thank you. Okay, so we come next. I think it's gonna be Elif. Yeah, there you are. So if you wanna share with us your experiment about democratic education. Looking forward to hearing.
Sure, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well. I will suggest you to use a timer so that we don't waste the time. Like, I don't know how much time we have left, but if that's okay, like I'm going to start 5-minute time, maybe.
Sure, I can let you know when you have 1 minute left or so.
I have a timer. Oh yeah, you
cool,
have
cool.
already used one. Okay, cool. All right. Hello everyone. You may know me, but I want to introduce myself first. My name is Elif Aybaş. I'm an English language teacher here in Turkey, in Anatolia, in central Turkey. So far, I have taught kids whose ages range from 6 to 17, and I recently worked at a private school. Today, I'm here to present you the learning journey from my own perspective. I will not try to repeat myself, as you may have read and witnessed most of what I've done in the digital magazine. So in this presentation, I will be focusing on the driving forces that led me to join this expedition and briefly speculate on what what is waiting for me in the future. So just before we began our expedition in like January 2024, I remember joining another event under the roof of Evolving Education. I believe it was Healing Curiosity. And I remember we discussed the what's, whys, and hows of teaching in an interlocked fashion. So it was also called the Golden Circle, the name of the practice. So for today's presentation, I have decided to follow a similar path and divide my experimentation in 3 sections. Why I did this experiment, how I planned my experiment, and what I did as a result. So I will be guided by my notes. So please excuse me if I cannot fixate my eyes on a certain location. So starting with why. My journey to become an alternative education began when I started to search for more humane and not exam-oriented banking type of education. I have myself been a product of this system, and I have never questioned the system itself and its outcome. However, the tables have turned, and I chose teaching as a profession. That's when I came across some non-governmental organizations that are working for creating safer and more peaceful school environments here in Turkey. I studied them as much as I could, yet there was, I thought, one big obstacle that was hard to reach. That obstacle was that I do not work at an alternative school. I have never seen an alternative school. I have never been part of any of these kind of education. So I would really find meaningful to work in this kind of school. But then I said, why don't you become the change you want to see in the world? These are not my words. If you may remember, these are the words that the great spiritual leader Mahatma Gandhi said. So that's the why. Moving on to how. So how would I defy the educational norms without sacrificing my teacher position at a private school that teaches in conventional ways? At the beginning of this learning expedition, I have already had a thing for democratic education, which refers to getting each and every people's vote in the decision-making process. In our case, voting for anything regarding their school, from deciding on the educational material to be taught, to even recruiting teachers or developing projects that help the common good. So the teams in my school are divided into ability classes when it's time for English lessons. One of the classes I taught this semester were 10th grade higher level students, most of which are taught in a program that is called, which I will roughly translate as training or educating scientists. So if you could guess from the name of the program already, they were involved in a couple of project-based studies, one of which was, for example, related to making a social campaign. I would often see my students struggle with hefty paperwork, but never given either proper instructions or engaged in real teamwork. They were mostly complaining and trying to get by. I could see that my time's up, so I'm gonna shortly maybe summarize. I'm going to finish. So I saw them and I saw their struggle. Then I thought, okay, I teach English. And they don't like, they say this overtly that they don't like teacher-oriented lessons. So I suggested my students to hold weekly meetings, sitting in a circle, seeing each other's faces, and having some freedom to develop something unique to themselves. And what I did was to have this experiment for 5 weeks. I held it for 5 weeks. I didn't know, it didn't always work out as I was expecting. You may read it in the magazine. I had ups and downs. And I also partially experienced to be a facilitator for the very first time and not like the teacher who just teaches. So when I finished writing my project for the learning expedition and contacting to Luz and David, I kind of found myself like planning what comes ahead. So what's going to be what I'm going to do next year. So some of the things I want to do in the next year is that something that is suggested by a dear fellow teacher of mine, to have a visible jar to collect like the things I do every day, writing them and having a certain set of goal to collect them in a jar and just seeing it every time and kind of empowering myself to, you know, to see that I am doing something and I am powerful. I can do it. You don't have to work in an alternative environment. You can do it even in a conventional school. So in the next years, I hopefully hold more like student meetings, take part in like the monthly or semester meetings that we have, which with the class representatives and etc. So these are some of the things I plan to do. So what I learned in the end is that I am the only obstacle. There are no obstacles apart from like the system and the school itself. And I am kindly glad to be surrounded by all these change makers who have presented their solutions. I hope my journey has had some inspiration you to become your defying teachers yourself. So thank you very much for joining this celebratory session and listening to my experience.
Thank you, Ellie, for sharing. And yeah, it was super fun to read your story, because it was very open as well to share the things that work and the things that didn't work out. Like the first time that the students faced a democratic circle and decided what they wanted to do, they were obviously shocked and they didn't necessarily engage with it, which is part of the journey, I think, of taking advantage of these spaces, is knowing how empowering it can be. And it takes time, and it's a normal thing, but I think it's something that we all need to face to decide the next step. So thank you for seeing it as an experiment, as something to learn from and decide what goes next. And next comes Isabel, who's gonna close the round of presentations from South Africa.
Right. So, yes, hi. So my name is Isabel. I'm in South Africa, and I'm not gonna tell you exactly about my project as in the magazine, but I would like you or would like to share a little bit the process how I got to the project, and then you can read a little bit more in the magazine. Maybe also put on the timer if you don't mind, David, then I can keep track of that. And I would also like to share my screen. Where must I click now? Share. Okay. Okay, can you all see the screen well? Yeah. So I'm a mother of 2 children, aged 9 and 13, of which the 13-year-old didn't fit the school system any longer. And it was really heartbreaking because we were at a very, very progressive school. We loved the school. We were already there so it's a new school, and we were the first to enroll because we were so excited about this new progressive school. So we were the first ones, and so he was already there for 3 years, and then in grade 7, so at the age of 13, it didn't work anymore. It was too hard for him. So so in those 3 years, we actually created a beautiful community of parents. So also every Tuesday morning, all the parents that have time and want to join come together in the morning. And we do workshops. We talk about certain ideas on life and different topics, right? So we were heartbroken when my son didn't fit that system, even though it was already a very progressive one. So then they kindly asked us, to not send him back to school. And then, what next? So obviously, as a mom, you dive into Google and all the alternative education solutions. And then what I learned is, because he's neurodivergent, self-directed education is absolutely the way to go. And the more I actually learned about self-directed education, the more I think it's not just for neurodivergent kids, but for everybody. And so I looked around in my neighborhood. I couldn't find a school. And so I thought, well, if it's not in my neighborhood, then I'll have to create it. So, oh, now I can't move it again. Yeah, there we go. So, I mean, obviously creating a school, you don't just do overnight. So one of the things I learned at the learning expedition was working with Mural, which is basically mind mapping. And then, David, thank you so much for introducing me. I do it now in all aspects in my life, whether it's financial, work, whatever. And so, because the nice thing about this is you put your ideas, and it's really like connecting the dots. And then obviously it's breaking down. I couldn't, because I work for myself. I've got my own business. I can't just overnight create a school. So I thought, okay, I can't do that. What can I do? Maybe I can, I can't seem to move this very well. Okay, there we go. So collaborations is an option. Collaboration with the school, collaboration with other neurodivergent parents. And then I'll get to that middle one just now. Because it was the beginning of the new year, I hadn't created my school yet. I found a little cottage school where I sent my son to in the meantime. So maybe a collaboration with them. And then at the school that we were at there, it's obviously also very progressive parents there. They wanted to create an eco village where we would, like you were asking about dreaming. Their dream is to get away from the money economy and more about trading and yeah, because money is the thing that keeps us back. You know, we can't be creative because we need to work for money. And anyway, so that was also a project that they were working on. So I had all these things like I could maybe collaborate with. And then there goes my bell. I'll try to be quick. Then one Amber from the Learning Expedition, she connected me with someone here in Cape Town called Cobus, who's also very passionate about education, and he wants to bring the learning out of the school building and into the city, a little bit like the Flying Squad. I don't know if any one of you knows them, because yeah, like we've all talked about it, we've become very individualistic and we don't know what's happening in our neighborhoods, and especially in South Africa, we've got so many different cultures, from the Malay to the Zulus to the Xhosas, and to then go into the city and meet the different cultures, all the different interests. So basically, the project that I did for the learning expedition was to
Right. Okay.
help Cobus putting a learning expedition together and forming community to then have more experiential learning rather than into the classroom. But like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about that. You can read it in the magazine. But what I find really amazing, and I'm really very passionate about it, is how all these things, all these dots fit. Like I mentioned here, also collab with the school. There's also lots of interesting talks happening there. And what we've also realized as a parent community is like the school is one thing, but as a community, what do we as parents want to achieve? Because at the moment, all the focus is on the kids, and it gives a lot of struggles because not everybody agrees and everything. But the last meeting we had, we said, okay, what about leaving that for a minute? Because we are the parent community. What do we want in life? And that's where it comes back to self-awareness and knowing in which direction you want to go. So knowing thyself, basically. And then, if you feel in a good situation, that's what you will then give on to your children, basically. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, but I hope, it made sense. And you can see that I'm very, very passionate about all that we've learned at the learning expedition. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Isabel. So this is it. Like now all the projects are presented, and now you are going to be able to choose the room that you are going to go to and ask more questions and get a little bit more deep. Choose. So what I'm going to do is I have created different rooms. I'm going to put them here so you have them also in the chat. So room 1 is going to be family learning, and there Amor and Sarah are going to be there to answer your questions. Then in community learning, we are going to have Electra and Isabel. I think Atanu probably fell. It's also really late in India. So, yeah. And then in the room 3, we are going to have a school transformation with Elif and Salih. I think Chris also have to go. So I'm going to leave those rooms open, and now a message should appear, and you will be able to actually choose the room that you're going to go to. If you have any trouble, you can also tell me, and I'll send you to that room. Yeah, if someone wants to go to a particular room, just let me know if you have any struggle. Okay, link in 2. Fantastic there. um, who else? Yeah, if anyone, Electra, I'm gonna assign you to room 2. Yeah, Puya, Arika, Catherine, if you want to let me know which room you prefer, I'll send you to that one. Yes, Arika?
Any, anyone is okay.
Which one would you prefer? Like school transformation, community building, or family learning?
Family.
Okay, so I'm sending you to room 1.
For me,
Catherine,
community
which one?
building,
Okay,
number 2.
community building is 2. And then Igor, which one would you prefer? Oh, it doesn't let you. Did the message appear, Catherine, or not? It didn't.
Oh, I don't get anything.
Okay, let me do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, now.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, then. Hello, Igor. Do you prefer to go to family learning, community building, or school transformation?
where he's created a school within a school over the last 4 years that's actually proved remarkably resilient. It's a 1,000-student school, and his department is 75 kids. Within that school, kids of all ages, because I think it's terrible the way we limit the age range of the experience of young people in schools. They have so much to learn from each other. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Sorry, David.
All good, Derek. Thank you
But it's
for sharing.
It's great to be here and hear the various experiments that are being tried. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it when we hear that things are not working, because it means that we are trying something that is difficult. And it means that we're not taking the easiest route, but we are launching ourselves for something that is not, is really taking out of our comfort zone, but it's something that is aligned with what we believe that we should do. Whether it is in the case of Amor to practice active listening and asking out of curiosity what are the interests and ideas of her daughter. In the case of Isabel, exploring collaborations in lots of different ways, from eco-villages to family groups, or in the case of Elif, creating democratic spaces within her school. This is really inspiring, and this is why we do this, and why even today I have fever, and why I feel so energized right now, even though I know as soon as the call finishes, I'm gonna drop to the floor again. So thank you so much for sharing all these ideas and inspiration. It really fills me with joy, and it really feels like this is why we do this. So thank you. Just some conclusions to wrap up, because I think it's like 5 minutes for the 2 hours. So maybe if you want to share a screen, Ruth, or I'll do it.
Yeah, I can do it. Yes, I was gonna say that probably you didn't have enough time to go deeper, or yeah, maybe you got still some questions, but exchange your contacts and keep in touch. And I think being in these communities and getting to learn from each other, and like, I'm having this difficulty, help me, or vice versa, just sharing ideas is something that is always super useful. So if you want to share, please do, and keep in contact. And yeah, I'll share the screen. Sorry, I got excited. Okay, there we go.
So the first thing we wanted to say is that if you want to go deeper into these projects and ideas in the digital magazine that I'm going to share with you right now, you have got 26 projects, all of them amazing, with lots of different contexts and ideas. We also translated the projects from the Spanish edition. And there we managed to get a foundation to pay for public school teachers in community high schools in vulnerable environments to join the training. And it was really shocking for them to join the journey. As you can imagine, it was really mind-blowing. And they ended up doing some amazing things in their communities. And our communities are really with intense levels of violence and lots of poverty. So it's also very, very beautiful to see what's happening over there. So if you look at Mexico, for instance, in some of those projects, there are some interesting things that maybe you didn't hear from because we were in our English cohort. This magazine also serves in a way as a measure of the impact of the program. By listing all these projects, this is the best measure of the impact, but also, you know, that we share with you a survey to understand how you perceive the experience. And we look at 3 main factors: personal growth, because we cannot support other people's development without our own. And I'm really happy to see that those numbers, even though we're already pretty high, they have gone up in connecting with our values, in being able to build positive relationships with youth and with colleagues. The second aspect is professional development, and some of the key things that we focus on are understanding intrinsic motivation for learning and having the tools to be able to do that, to create learning spaces that are based on it. And on the other hand, to have the ability to develop new initiatives in education, precisely the things that we have been hearing about today. And the last element, we didn't score that well in the past, and when that was community experience, community building. So in the last edition, we experimented with lots of different things: the buddy system, the dream cafe sessions. We changed some dynamics, tons of things. Some of them are on the stage, some won't. but it has definitely helped to increase the level of collaboration, to increase the intention to keep in contact after the program. I just wanted to share that with you. And when looking at these numbers, a question that might come up is, who are these people that are answering in this survey? And the answer is that it's very diverse. It's very diverse in the profile. Got school founders, facilitators, teachers, families, quite equally shared, and also people working across all the different age levels, from kindergarten to higher education, and also a good chunk of mixed ages. And this makes it completely difficult for us to explain who is the learning expedition for, because it's not just about teaching a particular subject or a particular age group, but really it's about the personal growth and development and questioning of how learning can be. And that's why we also ask to people, who do you think the learning expedition is for? And the best answer that we have got so far was from Sifan, who is the founder of a democratic school in Sri Lanka that took the program in the last edition. And he said that the program is for people that have a calling for education, but that perceive a dissonance, and that the program helps you to find what you want and how you get there through creative contents and a very strong community.
I mean, it's not a short answer.
It's not a short answer, but it's already quite complete. So thank you for completing the third edition of the Learning Expedition. There will definitely be a fourth one. Given what I have just hear from you, it just give us the energy to do so. I'll share again the link to the website, although I think most of the people here are part of the alumni network or colleagues. And I wanted to share, because Daryl was talking about how difficult it's been to move towards more empowering spaces. And I wanted to share something that maybe contradicts this somehow, or I don't know, but it's the direction of change that we see in education. And what I feel is that around the world, there seems to be a consensus building towards the direction of change in education, towards youth empowerment and self-direction. You can see it in UNESCO's framework for competence. Number one is lifelong learning. Number two is self-agency in the competencies. The EU life competencies, or the Catalyst 2030, the number one is learner-centered models of education. So I think that high level, there's kind of clarity that we need people who are able to make their own decisions, to question that the world that they live in, and to be able to act accordingly. But somehow we know that it's not so easy. That the huge majority of children still not necessarily have access to an education that is based on youth empowerment. If you move to the next one, yeah. And one of the key challenges here is our mindset as adults, as educators, as people that have gone through those same systems and that have never lived or experienced a different way of doing things. And I think this is why it's such a difficult challenge, because we see, for instance, in Mexico, there's a new pedagogical framework, and in Spain as well, just two examples that I know of that are pretty flexible and that should allow teachers to do things quite flexibly and self-directed if they wanted to, but it's not happening. And it's because we need to change as adults, as educators, towards more of a facilitator role. And that goes through a change of mindset that is quite challenging to go through. And to conclude this, to make this change of mindset, it's necessary a lot of courage. And and I see that courage in all the presentations, in all of you that are here today. All these stories are full of courage to try something different, to move beyond the experiences of conventional education that we had, to learn from children, to take the stand in the transformation of education. And this is leadership in action, because leadership is not about titles or it's about real responsibility. It's about choosing to do something about it.
I keep talking with my microphone off. But yeah, I think that if we decide to believe that the world and the educational system or schools cannot change, that won't happen then. But if we decide to believe that society functions as a network in which we all have decision-making power, I think that the many options open up then. So now the system is not something that is out of our control, but rather we are part of that system and that society. So if you are changing your class, if you are changing your learning center, or if you are raising your children in a different way, then you are changing the world. And today, I think that we have seen many options of change and many people that are making this transformation possible. And I'm super happy and super excited. And another thing to add there is that there's not going to be a magic solution that works for everyone, that makes things complicated, but at the same time is diversity, and we live in a diverse world, and diversity is beautiful. So yes, there is not a magic solution, but we need to find, each of us different, we need to try different things and check what works in our context and find solutions that work for us. And we don't need to do this alone. That it has appeared along the call. No, we can have a community of people that think alike or think differently, but we meet and then keep reflecting and questioning and deciding what we want to do and what impact do we want to have in the world. So yeah, that's the power of the relationships, that maybe sometimes we don't see them, but they are super, super powerful. And so I just want to finish. Thank you for all the presentations that the celebrity have done, and yeah, all the projects and all the work that you have been doing. We'll keep in contact in that alumni network, and we will keep organizing and meeting along the way.
Yes, and I was talking about responsibility, and now there's also part of our responsibility towards you, and part of our responsibility is to answer into your feedback, to make sure that we make adaptations and keep evolving, like the name of our organization, Evolving Education, to serve the needs of people that we work with. And what we heard from you was that we all need stronger communities to go through our testing times, that Isabel, that it's a pity that I don't have lifelong access to all the resources, the same that Electra that wanted permanent access, or Suarika said that that it was very rich to understand different contexts and common solutions, and that she wished it was never ending. And when we went through all your feedback and comments and also the last session that we had together at the Learning Expedition, it was clear that we needed to offer something else, a next chapter, to offer support a long time, and to make sure that there's this intentional community of people that we can work along, because it's as we have experienced, it's not an easy journey. It's bumpy. There's lots of turns. But when we do this together and with other people that are aligned in values and vision, then it makes a big difference. And we have came up with this concept that it's has really been kind of an inspiration in the middle of the chaos of our house. That it's Ubuntu Mastermind. That combines these two concepts of Ubuntu, which is an African proverb or term that roughly translates to I am because we are, mastermind groups, which are groups where everyone supports each other, both from a mentorship and coaching perspective, and therefore we can all learn from each other in a very fast pace. And the idea is that it can help us to keep accountability towards our goals, help us to conquer limiting beliefs, and testing new ideas, rapidly having a group of people to share with, and to making sure that we are really advancing in the direction that we want to. We're going to start pilots next month with any of the alumni and a few collaborators that might be interested in joining, inviting all the alumni from the previous edition as well. And the idea is that we'll be meeting now, kind of giving a little bit more patience. I know that the learning expedition is a bit intense because we wanted to put everything in one program. So there's more than 250 resources, and we've got calls every week, and it's hard to develop experiments and to test things and so on. So now we will have more time, kind of monthly calls where to check how things are going, and to do collective brainstorms and feedback sessions and advice and so on. You will have access to all the resources of the learning expedition, alone, unlimited, pretty much, while you're part of this community. And then we thought about other things that might come up, and as you know, we'll be adapting along the way. The same that during the Dream Cafe sessions, we designed exactly how they were going to go. So we will design how things that can be useful for us. For instance, shaping inspiring sessions, and this can be globally, kind of hosting webinars or Q&A sessions with people that know about particular methodologies or that we want to learn from. It can also be locally, because we have got so many audiovisual resources and facilitation guides that we can provide those to you so that you can host an event in your region and then build local communities, make them stronger, support people to question how education could be. And of course, dedicated communication channels, spaces to share resources and our personal guidance. So we're really thrilled about this new path that just opened up, and that we're opening for yourself, for the alumni community and a handful of collaborators. Looking forward to hear if you have got any questions or advice. We already spoke with some of you. Some of you already told us exactly things that you wanted to see there to make sure that it was useful. So more than happy to hear all those thoughts. Maybe if you can share, Luz, the link in the chat as well. Okay, and I'll finish here just saying that we're so thankful for this. This is not really in future. It's not looking forward to transform education. We're really thankful for actively today in the present being part of the transformation of education together. Thank you very much, everyone. If you've got any final comments, any questions?
You're gonna need a week to read the magazine. I think that when people get excited, we really get excited. But it's amazing. The projects are really, really amazing.
I may ask a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
Well, for the participants who won't be able to join the Ubuntu mastermind, is there still an open way for us to keep in touch and also other programs or other meeting sessions or other trainings, etc. I want to learn.
Yes, so we do have the alumni network, which is a WhatsApp group to keep in contact with each other. And once in a while, we make a call and connect with each other. And of course, we'll be making more events and opportunities to connect with each other. Yeah, later in the year. I'm gonna be closing the recording now so that it doesn't elongate too much, but I'll stay here.